Sylvia Clausel is Legal Redress Chair of the National Association of the Advancement of Colored People. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Tell us something about your organization, NAACP, and its mission.
NAACP, I'm legal chairman of the redress on the west side of Chicago. The organization started in 1909 for the advancement of colored people during a great time when we really needed that. We're the oldest yet the largest organization in the whole United States of America.
And you told me before the show, and in the world.
That's right. And so I'm very proud to be a part of such an organization, though I have a hat to several organizations, but this is one of the main ones that survived since 1909.
Have your mission changed from the beginning and now in nowadays when we have a little bit different issues than in 1909?
Obviously, yes, but the rooted problems are still there. Yes, we change, we do for advancement of colored people, but we're also for human rights. And that started also back then as well. But that's part of my motto. We're for human rights. So it doesn't matter if you're black, white, yellow, or green. And you
so a Latino or an immigrant can come to your organization?
Exactly. We will represent, or we have people there to also represent. We also have up under our great knitted organization educational purposes that we focus on, political, criminal, so it's not just about us, it's about the world and the human rights.
How you get your funding? Are you financially
we're not government funded at all. We're very independent, I mind you, and everyone works in a volunteer status, including myself. So whatever I do voluntarily and from my heart, and that makes it even better because we don't need money to make things work.
But you raise funds in certain...
Right, but from the government. But we raise our own fundraisers annually, and people donate money to the cause as well. Mm-hmm. And that's what has kept us alive.
The increased violence in Chicago is frequently in the news. Do you think we have a real issue, or is it slightly exaggerated?
Oh no, it's obvious that we have a real issue. Especially when you look at the statistics and the counts of our people killing, murders that are going on in the Chicagoland area. It is definitely not an exaggeration on that part. But I do say the exaggeration comes when you think that it's just about us in a negative way as black people in the community. That's where the exaggeration comes in, because not all of us are out there killing. Not all of our great students are out there killing as well. We have a great deal of students that go off to college, become doctors, lawyers, and even garbage pickers. But they're doing a great job, and they all are trying to advance. So we may have 500 that are doing the shooting. But in comparison to the many thousands that live in these communities, we're still doing a good job there.
So the people of color committing violent crimes are the minority in the community.
In the communities that have been mentioned, yes, I would say that they are blacks that are doing those crimes, and the Latinos.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The statistic shows 10 shootings a day on the average. Chicago has more homicides this year than New York and LA combined. Are you personally scared to live in such a city?
Yeah, well, yes, we do have that average combined, about 1,000 from LA and New York combined, and almost 2,000 here in the Chicagoland. So we are really passing them up.
So how many people were shot this year? And
up to 512 now have been shot.
512 people.
512 people have been shot.
Mm-hmm.
So if you let me look at this, allow me to look at this right quick. Okay, so we had the 2,709 males wounded, 509 that were killed.
Okay.
And the females, 56 killed, yet 326 wounded. So yes, we have gone up dramatically this year with murders.
So I want to ask you a question, and I want an honest answer from you. Let's say you're in one of the bad neighborhoods in Chicago. Are you scared to walk by yourself late at night in one of those neighborhoods?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
I'm not.
Nevertheless, you know the statistics.
Yeah, I know the statistics. I know what I see in the community. It does not scare me.
You're not afraid.
I'm not afraid. Most of the gun violence and stuff are personal. As I said before, they're going after each other mostly. And yes, we do get caught up in crossfires, innocent victims.
Yeah.
But, and that's sad within itself. But I do understand that there need to be a solution and that somebody has to stand up and walk the community to change these things. And so in order to change them, innocent people have to come out to do that. If we all hide, then we won't be able to change anything. They will take over our streets. But if we
So you
come
want to
out-
be an example and to show
Yes.
how people should be not afraid, and that they need to address the root causes.
That's right. You need to address it. You need to show the young people that we are not scared of them,
Yeah.
but we are looking for a solution for them.
But I want one more honest answer. If this person is not you, but a white man in one of those, or male or female, in one of those neighborhoods, what do you think would happen to them?
Well, you know, just saying that, you would think they would be scared. But if you
They
look,
might get
people
robbed
are
or beaten.
actually moving back into the community that are white, and they're buying homes because they can't afford to live in Hyde Park. So they just had a real serious interview with couples that are actually coming back into these bad neighborhoods, and they're out helping these youngsters too, as we speak.
Chicago police recently were blaming repeat offenders with illegal guns and ties to the gangs. How serious is the gang problem in Chicago?
All right. Our gang problem in Chicago is very serious. You know, whether the police can make something happen, I doubt that right now anyway. But to blame it on the ex-offenders coming back into the community with these guns is almost impossible to say that you let them out of jail with just the clothes on their back and all of a sudden they wouldn't found guns to start dumping on the street. I don't believe that. And we know that we have a real issue with guns, which is the reason why our children are out there killing people with these guns. So you can't tell me that a 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old are getting their hands on a gun legally. They're not. And you can't tell me that somebody that just walked out of jail just supplied them with those guns. I don't believe that either. Now, I do believe that some of them do go back to jail repeatedly. But there are quite a few that come out of jail and get their life together through avenues of certain programs, organizations that help them.
Does your organization work with such kind of people, trying to steer them the right way?
Oh, yes. I've personally, as chairman of the Legal Redress, I've been in a school where I've had 12 lawyers and 3 judges all on one day to show up at Law Day event at Powerhouse High School. That is a major, because I've never seen that in the city of Chicago, period. And then we also were able to give them awareness of the crimes, as well as what can happen to them if they commit the crime before they commit these crimes. And that's very positive, because the image that the world sets up is saying that you got to be rich, you got to be rich, you got to be rich. And so a lot of kids go out and sell drugs because they want to be rich just like the next person, instead of saying it's all right to have a job as a secretary, or it's all right to be a teacher, you know. So when we make these images, we're also brainwashing our young people. We need to stop that and reset their mind, give them a mindset to let them know that it's okay to be a teacher. It's all right to be a garbage picker, as long as you're the best garbage picker there is.
What is that attracts young African American members of your community to the gangs?
Well, because popularity attracts them to a gang. Right now, it seems to be a popular, normal thing to go out and shoot somebody, and for somebody to
They're
say
doing it for popularity?
Oh yes, I interviewed.
Among who?
I interviewed a couple of gangs, a couple of people that were in the gang today before I came to this show.
Okay.
And so I interviewed also one that was in a gang in 1990, because in 1990 we had a epidemic too. About 309 were killed.
Okay.
So I interviewed one that was in a gang in 1990, and I also interviewed one that's in the
Who's
gang
currently in the gang?
currently. And to see the difference of the gang in these 16 years is a major. Because maybe 16 years ago, the gang was formed to protect you on the streets while you were selling drugs or doing something of that nature. Whereby now, a lot of kids are going out saying, hey, this is popular for me to do. I'm going to get points when I get in jail because they're going to protect me anyway when I get in there. And when I get back out, hey, maybe I'll do this again. So we begin to have a popularity contest now in the streets with the gangs, which was different from the days when they were coming out selling drugs on the corners in 1990. So there is a difference between the gang today and even the gang of 1990.
How important is the business factor for the gangs?
Well, for the business part of the gang, I guess most gangs would say, well, hey, I got in a gang for protection.
Yeah, because it's dangerous.
It's
And
dangerous walking to school. Now,
is it a real protection though?
it protects them in their area to say, hey, we got a gang, so don't come over here messing with us, or we're going to jump you.
Okay.
Now, it doesn't protect them, which is a bad thing that's going now in education with schools, and since I'm a teacher, I think I can talk about that part too, is that our children are being bused or have to go to different schools in different areas where other gangs are. So if you're not in the gang with the red hat and you go to a school with a gang in the blue hat, then you're nine times out of 10 going to get jumped or killed in the process of trying to go to school. So a lot of our students won't even go to school because they're scared to even go to school. So here we got a gang situation from block to block, from area to area.
So every gang protects its area.
That's right. So mostly, just like anything else, if you have a gang, we're going to protect what's ours. Now, when you leave out of that area, you're on your own. If they see you and recognize you from another gang out that area, they can jump you, they can kill you. And this is all true. This has happened. So guys going to high school, you'll hear about them getting shot and killed on a bus coming home. And that was one of the reasons, because he had to go across town to go to school. And his parents make him go to school because you better go to school in the morning. But in the meantime, he's got to travel miles to get to that school. In between those traveling of that destination, he could be shot or killed.
So if you live in this neighborhood, is there any better option for someone living there as far as his safety is concerned than joining a gang?
A better option would be to move out the community, but if you
No,
cannot
I'm saying
afford,
if you live there.
to leave the gang?
No, if you live in this community
To live in there,
and you have an option, either be in the gang and feel like relatively more protected on this territory, or you're not part of the gang and then you're on your own and like you feel more vulnerable. So is this,
you're more vulnerable.
these are only two options?
Just practically, that is the only two options.
What about the police? Nobody trusts the police in this neighborhood?
Well, see, this is the thing. We have watch patrols along the way as you're on there, but you get on the bus, you get stumped half to death on the school bus, even though you have people watching after school and before school on every corner posted. It does not matter. The gang gonna find you and they will get you. If you're not in the gang, it might even be almost worse, because now you got to fight for yourself. You don't even have nobody else to fight for you, you know. And I've known a situation of that like that personally, where where guy was asked if he was in the gang and he said no, and he literally got his head tore off for not even confessing that he was in any gang. So our students are very fearful of going to school. When they go to school, you just about have to make a mad dash, and you make a mad dash when you go home, or you got to walk 10 or 20 at a time.
Do you think that more police officers, tougher gun control, and better enforcement of the laws will help to solve the problem with gun violence in Chicago?
More police officers may not solve the problem, because you can't solve the problem with the ones that we have on the street. And there's a lot of police officers out there. They walk the neighborhood, they ride bikes
So you have
through
enough
these
police
neighborhoods.
officers?
We have police officers that are riding bikes, that are walking every day in those communities.
Okay.
They're still shooting and killing. So is that going to make a difference? I don't think so. The gun control, yes. Better law enforcement of those gun controls, absolutely. Because you have to remember that a lot of these young people did not walk up to a legal gun shop and purchase that gun.
They bought it on the black market.
They bought it out of a black market. But the black market came from where? Where did these guns come from on the black market?
Stolen, maybe.
Stolen, or they could have been delivered here in the United States.
I think that's some black market business imports from out of the country.
This is true. But is that a black 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old that's doing that? Absolutely not.
They're just the victims.
They're just the victims. And so
Somebody's making the big money.
And pushing it down to these young people to have these guns to do this. So that our kids are like being puppets on the street.
We can make a point that somebody is making some good money over the violence in Chicago also.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, we always have that problem. We've had that problem for a long time, even with the Black Panther days, that we were telling them, stop putting these drugs and guns in our community. So we're not adults bringing these guns to our own children. These are other people that are putting these guns on the street, and our kids are able to get a hold to them for little or nothing, because there's not a 12, 13-year-old, I don't think, that have enough money every day to go out and purchase a gun.
That's true. Some suburbs in Chicagoland, as you well know, have special crime-free ordinances which prevent people with criminal background to rent properties. In other words, those suburbs make sure that the violence happens elsewhere rather than addressing the violence itself directly. Do you support such a policy?
No, I don't. I support, I think I agree with the part that you don't want people to rent your buildings or buy next door to you somebody that's a mad rapist, that have murdered 10 people.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want them living next door to you. So that's under scrutiny. I can understand that. But to literally just isolate the black community from another community, that is a racial.
So what you're saying is that some people might have issues in their criminal background, but not so serious.
Exactly. Or like a young person go to jail for fighting or selling marijuana or something like that. And then they're out. Well, the mom wants to move to a great neighborhood to keep him from doing that. Now on the record it shows that he's done this. So now you can't buy a house, or you can't get the Section 8 or rent because of that situation.
So you consider this ordinance as an extreme, which basically separates two communities.
Oh yes, that's very extreme to me.
Yeah. I have a list here of top 10 dangerous neighborhoods in Chicago: West Englewood, Riverdale, Auburn, Gresham, Fuller Park, Gage Park, Chicago Lawn, West Garfield Park, Grand Crossing, Chatham. Are you familiar with any of them?
I'm familiar with all of them.
With all of them?
Yes. Yes, I am. My statistics show a little bit differently, though, but practically
some of those
all of them that you mentioned are in here.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm familiar with them.
So, what can you say about
those
Living in this,
communities.
do you have any experience in living in this?
Well, yes, because I lived in Inglewood. I raised my children in
You
Inglewood.
live there and raise your children there?
Yes, I did.
All right.
And I was chairman of the local school council there.
Yeah.
So I wasn't just in the community, I was also a community activist then.
Community organizer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
community leader.
organizer, leader,
Yeah.
yes,
Were you able to achieve any success in improving the conditions in the community?
always. You know, my father always had one thing that he said. He said, Sylvia, whatever you do, save one. You save one, you can save 1,000. Thousands can save millions, but just save one. So when I go out to the community, my thing is, can I just touch one child? Can I just save one, get them back out
You
the
volunteer your
streets?
time, your
All of my
money?
time, all of my life, my money, that's all I've ever done was community efforts in changing the community back around.
So are you satisfied with what you've achieved and with the results?
There's always room for more, and more money would help. But you know, you can only do so much with what you're allowed to do with. But as far as satisfied with the achievements, oh yes, I have great students like Jennifer Hudson that came out of Dunbar.
Jennifer Hudson was your student?
Was at the school Dunbar where I taught at.
Okay.
So you know, you can't say every child is bad and I'm going to turn my back on them, because that's not true. We do have a serious problem though. Will money solve the problem? No. Everybody think you have to have
I think
money.
it will solve the problem a little bit if
It could help with different
if people are not
organizations.
poor, if people are not unemployed, I think it will change it a little bit.
What I'm saying is this. If I went out to a community and offered you money, is that going to work? No. That child might go out and
You need
buy
to
1,000
change
guns.
the
I
mindset.
need to change the mindset. There are several things need to happen here. First of all, you got to put love back into the community. Our kids are suffering with love, even though they get love
There's a
from their
love
parents.
deficiency there.
That's right. Because love takes care of a lot of things over money. If you can show
There are
a
certain
person,
things that you cannot buy with money.
that's right.
and
But love
that's
will.
true.
If you show a person love, show these kids love, it will change their mindset. The gang yesterday in 1990, like the young guy said, they did still have love in their hearts. So running around.
The gangs.
Yeah, the gang that I interviewed today.
Yeah.
When I talked about love, they wholeheartedly agreed about that, because back in the 90s, you know, they weren't willing to step up and just shoot somebody in the head. They still had respect for themselves. So first of all, you have to love yourself in order to love somebody else. So if I can teach you how to love yourself, then I don't have to worry about you loving somebody else or going to kill somebody. It would almost be hard to pick up a gun and shoot somebody in the head if you love yourself first.
So I understand this thing about the love deficiency, but what other root causes you see in this problem?
Oh, the major root cause, education.
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 You're a teacher also. I know.
Yes. And so some of our students are getting great educations, while a lot of our students are not getting so great of an education. It is a mandated thing that we must show effort to putting money back into those schools in the community and letting the community themselves deal with their own kids. Stop closing the schools down, sending them across town. We can handle our children in our own town.
Yeah.
But you need to give us the right money and back support that we need as teachers to teach our children better. Stop making it look like it's our fault in the community when we don't have the funds that we need to survive. And you have to admit, in the ghetto, which they call the ghetto, Inglewood and some of these other areas, that's a melting pot. So somebody coming out of jail cannot go to Hoffman Estates and live.
Because of this.
Because they're
laws.
not gonna, because of this situation you just talked about earlier, they're not gonna let them rent and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where else do they go? They go to Inglewood. They wanna use a lot of
basically what is
drugs.
going on right now is certain law enforcement agencies in certain suburbs and cities, they do not address and try to resolve the problem. What they're doing is they're isolating the crime and steering the crime into certain neighborhoods. Is that right?
That's right, that's correct. They do have a lot of police in the neighborhood. I won't I won't deny that. I see them walking with my own two eyes. But even seeing them walking and on the bikes themselves, I have witnessed murders in just about 2
In
blocks
front of
away
theirs.
from my daughter's house, while the police were riding bikes and walking the neighborhood. And here's the thing, they get so close and never catch them. Even the
Why
statistics
is that?
say, I'm trying to figure out myself, because here the statistics even shows that they only have 109 out of the 500 that did the murders.
Mhm.
Why is that? When you're on your feet, on foot patrol, you're on bikes and in cars, and you can't find these kids? This is ridiculous. To say that you have this much manpower and you are not able
I think that this
to
ratio
catch
in the
nothing.
statistic is different in the suburbs and certain other cities, you know.
Oh yeah, but
Much more murders are.
well, it's more
So-
different in the suburbs. With like one gang guy affiliated with the gang told me tonight, there is a difference in urban culture. So you have to understand. Yet they are still getting a lot of murders in the suburbs because a lot of the kids and adults that got put out of the projects are in the suburbs now. And they're all over the city of Chicago. You
Yeah.
can't detect them. You don't know who they are. They
It
just
happens
walk up
all
and
over
shoot you.
the place, yeah.
Right. So they isolated them also years ago in the projects where they used to run up in there and do all their murders and run and go back to the projects. But now they're all among us in the good neighborhoods as well. And they're killing there.
How do you feel about certain politicians who exploit these serious problems with gun violence in Chicago for their own political benefit? Like, let's say Donald Trump very frequently in his speeches refers to the awful gun violence in Chicago, and he also, I think, as far as I remember, said that he knows how to quickly resolve this issue.
I feel like this, if he knew how to resolve these issues so quickly, and with all that billions of dollars he claimed he has, he should have stepped up to the plate a long time ago.
Okay.
I feel that way. Other than that, it's just a political propaganda. Because you have not once came into our communities and tried to do anything to help support our young
So
people.
he doesn't have any track record of trying to do something,
No, he does not. Exactly.
and now he desperately
And now
needs
all of a
votes, you know?
sudden he shows up and says, I know how to get rid of that. Okay, well, I'm scared. Because like I said, if you thought that way, you should have done this a long time ago. So why suddenly you running and in 8 months you think this way?
Do you think our mayor, Rahm Emanuel, is doing a good job in addressing the gun violence in the city?
I would truthfully say that Ron Emanuel is doing a job to hire more police officers, to try and stop the violence. However, do I think it's perfected? No. And do I think it works? Absolutely not. Like I said, so it's not about all of the police running the street with guns on their hips that's going to save our bad communities, because that has nothing to do with that.
Okay, let's imagine that you have all the power necessary to resolve this serious issue. What would be the steps you will undertake if you have all this power to resolve this issue? First, second, third. You know.
Okay, well, we have a conglomerate mess. That's number one. If I had the power to change things or to resolve it in the community, first of all, I would spend a lot of time and money showing young people love. And I would go out into the community and not be scared to talk to the gangs, because the gangs are the answer. So while we sit in the house as adults thinking
And maybe listen also.
That's right. While we thinking that sitting in the house looking at TV and listening to other people and what they're doing, that is not going to be the resolution. Resolution means that the community once has to stand up, and they have to start getting out here and start talking to these gangs and letting them know, first of all, we love you. We understand that you have a major situation going on. What is it that I can do to help you? Stop asking what I can do to do this. What can I do to help you? And in any case, I don't come to your house and say, you know what, I'm gonna
Do
clean
you
up
think
your
that this
house.
will work, such a conversation, such an outreach to these gangs? You have an experience with that.
I talk to my students all the time, and yes, it
You
does
talk to gang
work.
members today.
I talk to them. I go get my students off the street.
Okay.
If I see them on the corner, I'm stopping. They know Miss Claus. I don't play. I want to know why you're out here and what's the
So
what's
you
the
have
reason.
achieved, certain people you have achieved to basically protect them from these gangs.
Oh yes, I had one mother that she told me, I wish my son, I hope he get arrested and go to jail. And that same student today, I took him, I tutored him, and he was on the dean's list when I got through with him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You have to understand what love means. When you sit down and talk to them individually and take the parent out, take society out, and just really talk to them heart to heart, you will understand there's more underlying problems than you will ever imagine that our young people need to address. So the first thing is, like I say, I ask, what can I do for you? And they always look at me crazy like, what? But the end result of that tutoring session becomes very positive because I have reached into their heart, not into that book. You can treat anybody. They know how to add and subtract. That's why they're out there selling drugs, because they know how to make that money. So it's not all about education, but it's saying that you're somebody, and you're somebody great, and you got a chance to make it in life if you just turn around and go down this block and don't go down that one over there. If you can just tell them the experience of your life, stop thinking that everything is perfect in my life, because it's not. So I let them know that Miss Claus don't have everything perfect in her life. I too have been through things. I too have been homeless. But when you tell them how you can get out of being homeless, how you can go back to school and get your education, your life together, how you can become a successful man, a successful father, these things will set the mind. Mm-hmm. And that's why I said we need to get a mindset going with our youngsters.
So basically what you're saying is that in order to successfully address and try to reduce the gun violence in Chicago, you need to be able to more frequently talk to offenders, to gang members,
Yes.
understand their needs, ask them how you can help them, try to educate them, to give them
Exactly.
information,
That's right.
change their mindset,
Yes.
how they perceive life and what's good and what's bad in life,
Mm-hmm.
and what's success and what is not success in life.
That's right.
And you have several ways how you can successfully address this issue, but my understanding is that in all of these scenarios, the most important factor is
Love.
love.
Love. Love never fails.
Thank you, Sylvia.
I thank you.
Great to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Hope to see you next time.
Okay.